नमस्कार। द ड्रामेटिक आर्ट एंड डिज़ाइन एसोसिएशन की तरफ से मैं सभी का स्वागत करता हूं हमारे प्रोग्राम गपशप में। और आज का जो प्रोग्राम है वो बड़ा ही स्पेशल है, क्योंकि आज जो हमारे गेस्ट हैं वो न्यूयॉर्क अमेरिका सिटी से हैं। उनका नाम है मिस्टर जोनाथन हॉलेंडर। He is an artistic director and founder of Battery Dance Company, and he is also internationally well-known dance choreographer. And he has curated Battery Dance Festival in New York City, and is the biggest running public dance festival. And he has been awarded many times prestigiously. Now, let's meet Jonathan Hollander. Sir, hello, sir.
Hello.
And first of all, thanks for coming today, sir.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we are going to start this Gapshup, sir. You have traveled many times in India. So, sir, Indian dances are many. As a choreographer, which Indian dance forms are you familiar with, and what is the specialty you noted in the Indian dance form, sir?
Yes, well, from a very early age, I was exposed to Manipuri dance, first of all, and Bharatanatyam. And then over time, I also had a chance to see Kathak dance, Odissi, Kathakali, Satriya. I know I'm missing some, but Kuchipudi, of course. And also some of the rare forms from Kerala, such as Kudiyatam and Teyam most recently. So I feel like I'm a lifelong learner. There's so much to learn and so much to see about Indian dance because the forms are many. Of course, also Mayurbhanj Chow and Sarikala Chow, the different forms of Chow. So yeah, even the martial art forms have elements of dance in them that have been shared among the different dance forms, folk dance as well. So yeah, I am a great appreciator, one could say, of Indian dance, contemporary experimental dance as well.
Right, sir. And how do you see the relationships of rhythm and light design, sir?
Well, I think that lighting design and dance are intertwined, and it's so important to have a collaborative relationship between the choreographer and the lighting designer, because when dance is coming onto the stage, audiences in an intimate setting or an opera house or an amphitheater, each setting is different and requires a very careful sharing of planning between the lighting designer and the choreographer. I have been very, very fortunate to work with some extremely talented lighting designers in New York over time. And of course, the way that they highlight different aspects of the dance with the lighting contributes so much to the audience appreciation. Also, having toured India many times, we have benefited from working with Dinesh Podar from Kolkata, who actually traveled with us and helped our lighting designer to work with the local technical crews in different cities around India many times. The thing is that if theaters are not well equipped or have good equipment but it's not maintained, or have equipment that the local crew does not really know how to operate, then you run into trouble. Another thing that's a big challenge, I think, for Indian dance companies is that often their sponsors, like their corporate sponsors or the festival sponsors, want to have signage all over the backdrop. And so the ability to present a very coherent production in which the lighting and the dance and the staging all are of a piece and are not interrupted with signage in the background. This is a big challenge that I know that a lot of dance companies face in India. So I would ask you, as a lighting designer, how do you cope with that problem? If a sponsor says, "Oh, we want to have our branding there on the backdrop," and meanwhile it's interrupting your lighting design, what do you do?
So we make some ideas and make some solutions of that situations, because we are facing lots of problems in different auditoriums, because auditoriums is not so, as you asked, not so well equipped. So we are trying to make something from to something, sir.
I think you all have to work together. The dance community, the lighting, the design people have to work together to educate corporate sponsors about this problem, about the fact that you want to have a work of art that's coherent, that's fully designed and not having branding all over it. And maybe if you collaborate with each other, this message can get across. I know that I've spoken to some of my friends in the corporate sector in India, and they agree with me that the
Yeah.
stage picture is interrupted if there's branding all over the place. So maybe branding has to be in the lobby of the theater, for example, or outside the theater, or a banner. That's fine, as long as it's not interrupting the stage picture.
Right, sir. But we are not getting the auditorium in uh, before performance, uh, before that days.
There
When,
you go.
yeah,
That was another thing I wanted to point out, is that the slots for
yeah,
performance and rehearsal are often inadequate for you and Dinesh and other people in the world of lighting design to have the time to prepare all your lighting, to hang your lights and to focus your lights and to get all the cues together. I recognize that this is also a big problem. Now, here in the United States, I think it's more understood that a dance company coming in needs 8, 10, 12, 14 hours before the performance time, maybe
all
even an
right,
entire day before, in order to get all the lights hung, focused, and cued for the production. Um, this is something we fight for, because we can't present our work without adequate technical rehearsal time.
but in India is we are not getting auditorium for
Well,
a long
I
time.
think we can take this opportunity of this interview to talk about what could be some of the problem-solving strategies for Indian dancers and Indian dance companies. And this is certainly one of them: to have adequate time slots and to have proper equipment and have the time for the tech rehearsals before the performance. These are
Right,
all
sir.
things that we need to work towards in the future.
Yeah, yeah, because light is a very important part of the production. It's very
That's
important.
so true. I mean,
Yeah,
choreography is complex in terms of the use of the stage space. You have people in the, upstage area, we say, and the downstage area closer to the audience, differentiating sometimes these different levels of the choreography with side lighting.
yeah,
So side lighting is critical for dance because it makes the body three-dimensional. If
right.
lighting is only from the front, then
Yeah,
it's two-dimensional. So on
yeah,
the one hand, for Indian dance, you have a different problem than we have in Western dance. in Western dance, we don't focus so much on the facial expression. So we don't need so much front light coming from the front and illuminating the face, which you need
Yeah.
in Indian dance with the expression, the abhinaya. We focus more on the side lighting, which creates a sculptural look. And of course, overheads and backlighting and everything. So, yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon to have 100 plus lighting instruments for one production, and maybe
Right.
70 or 80 or 100 lighting cues. This
Right.
the general audience does not understand this. They're just sitting there watching. But if they stop and think about the pool of light that surrounds and highlights an individual soloist versus the full stage lighting that shows everybody at different levels of the stage, these are all critical elements in making a production fascinating and attention getting for the audience.
Right, sir. It's very true. Uh, Yeah. Next is, what is your stand on the need for heavy scenography and design in dance performances? Does design rule on the dancer performance? Should we give prominences?
I think that, again, it's a question of collaboration. Before anything goes into a theater, the lighting designer, the stage designer, the choreographer, a director, if there is one, would all have many meetings to tease out the best strategy for conveying the story or the abstraction, whatever it is that that production needs. So some productions for Indian dance dramas, for example, they need heavy scenography because they're based on a storytelling that's very specific. There might be a scene that takes place in a forest, or a scene that might take place in a palace or in a village, whatever. And so you have to bring the audience into that world, and scenography can do it, painted backdrops could do it, or in these days, a lot of projections, video projections, can take the place of physical scenery. So, this is an ever-changing area of performing arts development. But again, it requires careful sharing of the vision by the choreographer, by the scenic designer, the lighting designer. Everybody has to work together. And if they're in conflict, then the production will not be successful, probably.
Yeah, matlab it's depend of collaborations, how they collaborate and work
Exactly.
together.
Yeah. Now, it's really interesting to think about forms like Tayam or even Kathakali, which are traditionally performed not in a proscenium stage setting, but are performed in a village setting or a forest or whatever, where the audience comes and watches, sometimes with lights that are torches as opposed to,
Right.
a flame, as
Right,
opposed
sir.
to lighting instruments. And then the question becomes, for example, a Tayam performance coming from Kerala is going to be presented in Hyderabad or is going to come to New York City. How do you give the audience the authentic experience of the Tayam art form, or Kathakali? How does it work on stage? Now, of course, Kathakali has many examples of being on stage, on proscenium stage. And Kudiyatam, similarly, it's been on stage, or it's been in, a chamber, or it's been out of doors in a forest, wherever. But how do you get across that authentic feeling? I think that's something that we're all thinking about all the time. Manipuri dance, the Javeri sisters were the ones working with Guru Bipin Singh, who took Manipuri dance and prepared it for the stage, so that international audiences could appreciate this beautiful, magnificent dance form. But it required a translation translation from the authentic presentation in a temple or in a garden or an outdoor setting in Manipur, how will that be presented at NCPA in Mumbai, for example? It's not just take this as it exists and put it over here. There has to be some kind of very, very sensitive, careful, thoughtful restaging to maintain the natural and authentic feeling of the form, and at the same time allow audiences who are not in Imphal or wherever in Manipur to appreciate. And that's just an example. It's true for all of the different art forms.
Yes, sir. It's really true because when we are performing and doing something and creating something, some performance and doing same thing in same place, it's not possible also because their situation is very different.
Yeah, for example, with Kathak dance, um, the refinement of the
Yeah.
footwork and the refinement of the all of the virtuosity and all of the technique of Kathak, which really is best done on a very good wooden floor. No splinters, no gaps, so that the dancers have freedom. They don't have to think about what they're dancing on. They can concentrate and feel the best conditions for their very complex artistry. But if they go into a theater and there are splinters or there are gaps or the boards don't meet or something like that, their performance is going to be compromised. I will compliment Indian dancers that through the generations they have adapted to whatever circumstance they've been given. They dance on stone floors, they dance on cement if they have to, they dance on marble, they dance on earthen floor. They'll do whatever because their passion for the art form must find an outlet in the performance. But at the same time, for somebody like me, I'm spoiled. I come from the Western world where we always can demand a certain kind of stage. Well, I say always, most of the time. And we get very spoiled because we assume that we will have those conditions, a sprung wooden floor that has give. I'll never forget, I was in Darpana in Ahmedabad with Malika Sarabhai, and Malika actually told me that stone floor was softer than cement. And I was thinking to myself, how? I don't really understand that. Neither stone nor cement is going to give anything for the dancer in terms of resilience. And I just hope that in this age of sharing global communication, that Indian dancers will be given the kind of conditions that will allow them to be injury free and perform at their best.
So it's mean every performance designer is needed. मतलब every performance with designer needed.
Yeah, I really don't ever want to go as a non-designer anywhere without my lighting designer or my production designer, somebody who knows that vocabulary, that technique. I'm responsible for the dance part. I need somebody to be responsible for the lighting, the sound, everything else. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have to fill in if there's not enough budget to bring a technical director or production designer. Then I am on very, very, very shaky ground that I have to try to cover the expertise that I don't have.
Right, sir. Right. Sir, you are also Fulbright scholarship expert. So do share your suggestion for
Well,
about
the Fulbright
yeah.
program is the premier exchange program of scholars in the United States. And there is a Fulbright office in New Delhi, and the Fulbright office has been extremely active in bringing Indian specialists of all kinds of fields to the United States to study or to teach or to interact. And the converse, Americans coming to India, like myself or Janaki Patrick, various dancers and choreographers from the United States who have benefited from the Fulbright program that paid for our expense to come to India, to spend time in India, so we could have the luxury of spending time with Malika Sarabhai or with, the Javeri sisters, or in Janaki's example, to work with Birju Maharaj in New Delhi, and to refine her Kathak experience and technique by studying with him. So the Fulbright program is one that supports the exchange of scholars.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And how do you observe the Indian scenario for dance promotion in India, sir?
Could you elaborate on that? I'm not sure that I understand the question.
How do you observe the Indian scenario for dance promotion in India?
Okay, so I guess you're talking about the health of the dance community in India, respect for dance, and how it's promoted to the general public in India.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't live in India. I come to India frequently. I do feel that I know that my colleagues who are Indian dancers are worried about appreciation for classical dance among the younger generation, because Bollywood, and, popular dance forms have, so much commercial funding and opportunity, and they're on television and in the films. And so, to a certain extent, the classical dance forms have a hard time competing with that. And to understand that India's classical dance forms are unique in the world. There is no other country, I've said this so many times, there's no other country in the world that has the kind of breadth and depth of dance that India has. But Indian dancers themselves worry about how the audience is shrinking for the classical dance forms, and how to inspire and promote Indian dance.
Yeah.
I think we all have to play a role. I think government has to play a role, the corporate sector has to play a role, the society at large and the art patrons have to play a role, and the dancers themselves have to understand that they must pay attention to marketing, they must pay attention to promotion. I myself, or, I've been in the dance field for almost 50 years. And I know that I have failed a lot in my lifetime, my career, in terms of that promotion and marketing side, because it's the last thing I think about. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about the art, I'm thinking about the new production, I'm thinking about rehearsing and getting everything just right. And the last thing I think about is the marketing and promotion. But without that, then you have no audience. So we
Right.
have to encourage each other to come up with strategies and solutions for better communicating the values of our art form to the public.
All right, sir. You are also promoting our dancers in New York
Yes,
in your Battery Dance Festival.
yes.
What is your experience about that performances?
Well, I think that the Indian dance performances that we presented in New York have been extremely well received. New York Times reviews, big audience appreciation. One of the things I will share with you is that when we presented a Manipuri program that was organized by Darshan and Javeri,
Okay.
um, with the younger generation, the middle generation, multi-generation,
Yeah.
multi-style, that there were people who are Indian dancers and very connoisseurs who came up to me afterwards, and they said, I never saw such a thing. The costumes, the grace, the expression. In other words, Manipuri dance was not familiar to the people who are very familiar with Bharatanatyam, for example, or Odissi, or Kathak. There's sort of Kathak, Odissi, and Bharatanatyam are the more popular, more known Indian dance forms in the United States. Manipuri, not so much. Kuchipudi, not so much. These things are, Kathakali is very rare. So Mohiniyattam, very, very rare, So we have made an effort, along with our longtime partnership with the Indo-American Arts Council and the Erasing Borders Festival of Indian Dance, and people like Radhika Puri, Arun Shivdasani, Uttara Kurlawala, Parul Shah. These are people who have been helping to promote Indian dance in New York and in the United States. So there's a lot of work to do. We could do so much more. Every dance festival only has one night every year to present Indian dance. I wish we could do so much more.
You also perform in India, your company, Battery Dance Company.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to know, sir.
We have performed in 17 cities in India. The first time we performed in India was in 1992. And since then, 94, 95, 97, 2000, whatever. And most recently, we were so lucky to have 7 different city events and performances in India just before the pandemic. We're so lucky that we got that done by the middle of January 2020, before the pandemic hit. And that was a wonderful experience, as 2018 as well. And I'm very grateful to the U.S. Embassy in New Delhi, because they gave us grants that supported those tours, and also the ICCR, very generous support for the 2018 production, and local organizers, Durgesh Gangani in Vadodara, Malika Sarla in Ahmedabad, Unath Hassan Rajni brought us to the small town of Hassan, where we filled a metropolitan auditorium to the rafters. I mean, it was probably the only time that an international dance company came to a small city like Hassan. But the appreciation was tremendous. Srinath Mutiala in Hyderabad did an incredible job of supporting us there. And Anuj Mishra in Lucknow, where you are right now, organized a program. And Kirchana Anil Singh in Mumbai with their festival that they have begun to put on over the last few years with crowdfunding. We're so grateful to all of our friends and partners in India who worked so hard to present us in 2020 and 2018 as well.
Right, sir. As you asked about the pandemic, I want to know what was the effect of the pandemic on dance in your place, and what will the post-pandemic see?
Well, there's a huge range of ways that the pandemic hit the performing arts across the United States. And I can tell you that several very important, hard-working dance companies were capsized. They're done. The pandemic was just too much for them to withstand. No salaries coming in, no performance opportunities, no earned income. Very, very difficult. On the other hand, Battery Dance had the opposite experience. We have a very young and hardworking professional team here at Battery Dance. And we met on March 13th. The dancers, the staff, everybody came together and said, what can we do in this situation? We don't know how long this will last. And we went digital, we went virtual, and we created on March 27th, only 2 weeks later, we went live with 5 programs per day, 7 days a week on something called Battery Dance TV, which was a YouTube channel. And we had 1.5 million digital views across 206 countries. So I can credit my young team working together and not letting the pandemic destroy us. So we came out stronger than ever, and we were able to continue with our festival in August 2020, and of course our Roofer Festival that went live again. So we kept the virtual and the live. And now I think that's the future for all of us. We have to keep our virtual international audience and at the same time not let any of the live performance element where you really have that strong relationship with the audience that has to go forward and come back.
All right, so this pandemic gave us this gupshup like we are talking about because this pandemic created this type of talking.
Exactly,
T-
exactly. This kind of collaboration, this kind of conversation would not have happened before the pandemic. So
Yeah,
there are silver linings.
yeah. This is very good experiment in this pandemic time, and
When did you start doing these interviews? You personally?
uh, yeah, it started in one year later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now is I think 138 episode.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So you kept yourself busy and engaged with your art form in the only way that you could when performances were not happening in theaters. I will share with you in the audience that I went to a Broadway show last night. I was in a theater on Broadway in New York, almost full to capacity. Everyone
Right,
had to show vaccination card in order to get in. Your
right,
ID, your government ID, and your vaccination card. So when you were in the audience, we had to wear masks in the theater. We could not take masks off in the theater. The performers, of course, did not have masks. So life is coming back, but with certain safety precautions.
same thing started in India also, sir. We are opening the theaters now, some places.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very
sir.
good.
Yes, sir. And how many take rehearsals do you do, and how long you take to create or design one dance choreography, sir?
It really depends. Right now, we're finishing a 20-minute production that started rehearsing in, I guess, the second week of September. So 2 months.
Right.
Uh,
Okay.
that's an average time. And yeah, I'm sorry, there were two parts to your question.
Yeah, to create
You asked
or design.
how long does it take to make a production, to do the choreography? So
Yeah.
generally about 2 months.
Oh, 2 months.
I think you're frozen. You are for me anyway.
Yeah, just wait, sir. I think my net is.
Should I get off and come on again? Should I interview myself? Oh, there you are. Okay.
Sorry, sir. some problem in net, sir.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. And sir, what is your inspiration for taking up choreography, sir? Dance choreography.
Well, I think
What is?
every piece of choreography that I've done has had a different inspiration. In other
Yeah.
words, it's either music or a theme or some kind of life experience that I am trying to capture and convey through dance.
What is your most what is your most memorable inspiration, sir, which you want to share with us?
I think, like every artist, my most recent production is the thing that I think about the most, because artists are very much concentrated on whatever they're working on at a given moment. There's an element of spontaneity, an element of improvisation when something um, suggests itself for a production. So my most recent production, and actually my last production, was called On Foot. And Battery Dance had been working in Germany for many years, and in the last 5 years, working with refugees who came from Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, some from India, and then African countries, places that people were escaping from conflict. Once they arrived in Germany, they then had to remake their lives with a new language, a new culture, new food, everything. Um, but the journey for many of them was harrowing and traumatic.
Hmm.
And so the dance experience of working with them with our project called Dancing to Connect was a way that we could help young people tell their stories through movement and not use words, because everybody was speaking a different language, but everybody has the universal language of the body.
Right.
Having had the experience of meeting young people who had traveled unbelievable amount of uh, geography from Afghanistan to Germany. Just think about what it would take if you
Right.
didn't have an airplane or conveyance, sometimes actually going on foot. So that journey, that sense of enforced migration, and the trauma of the journey itself became the motivation for the production On Foot. And working with a Syrian, Armenian American artist who himself had family background that had forced migration, and working with musicians from Tunisia and from Syria, this gave us a sense of the authenticity and touching a human life experience that was very much powerful and of the moment in the world right now. Forced migration of people, of millions of people having to leave their homes,
Right, sir.
was
Right,
something
sir.
that became an inspiration for me and my dance company.
Every dance depends on what is your thought, what is thought around in the word.
I didn't catch your meaning.
Yeah, I'm saying that every time depends what is going on. Uh,
Right.
you
Artists are responding to the events of the day. Yes.
right, sir. Right, sir. While developing a dance routine, what do you have to develop, sir?
I'm not sure that I really understand what you're getting at.
While developing a dance routine, what do you have to develop? Because you are doing lot of choreographic work in a routine way. How to collect the things when you are doing rehearsal and
Well, I
anything?
guess I would say that the creation of choreography is a conversation between the dancers and the choreographer. Some choreographers have everything uh, visualized in their minds and physicalized in their bodies, and then they just teach that material to their dancers. But in my way of working, it's much more a collaboration. The dancers have their way of moving, they have their own stories, they have their own style or their own charisma, personality as a performer. And it's my job to be able to interact with each dancer and bring out the emotion or the character, whatever it is I'm going for. So I work with professional dancers who are trained in classical ballet, in contemporary modern dance styles, and also in some cases have current dance styles like hip hop or or even some of the dances of other countries like salsa, for example. And I look at a dancer and I work with a dancer and I try to understand who they are and
Right.
how their character can affect me and what I can um, how I can engage with them most meaningfully for both, for them and for me.
Yeah, I'm asking this question because of when I'm directing some play, I'm going through the lighting. I can see first of all lights, where lights come, and
Yeah.
what is the scene. I can see visualize.
Hmm.
It's very important for me when I'm directing the play.
Yeah, you're looking through that lens. I'm
Yeah,
looking through
right,
the
sir.
lens of the human body and its
Yeah.
capability. Music, very much so, because I have a musical background. And also, I have a visual arts background. So I'm seeing the picture. What does this look like? How is it presented? And in what way does it engage the audience emotionally, visually, and every other way?
Yes, sir. Thank- And what is the major difference between a dance teacher and a choreographer, sir?
That's a big difference. I think performing, teaching, and choreography, they're entirely different. I think as a performer, it's you have to be very introverted and understanding yourself, and also a good learner from any sources or teachers, watching other dancers. As a teacher, you have to be able to understand the capability of your students.
Right.
What are they capable of? What are their liabilities, their limitations, and how can you as a teacher unlock them to some extent and then propel them forward in their abilities and their careers if they aspire to be professionals. A choreographer has a completely different focus. A choreographer is taking what he or she sees in the world and in dancers and fusing some kind of vision to be portrayed and conveyed to the audience on stage or in whatever situation, a site specific work, or on film.
Yeah.
So it is not necessarily transferable that a great dancer would become a great teacher or a great teacher would become a great choreographer. Sometimes it comes together, but oftentimes it doesn't. Sometimes the choreographer was never a great dancer. That's my case. I was never
Right.
a great dancer. I started late and I had certain talent, but I was very, very aware that I was not going to reach the highest peak as a performer. And that was very crushing, but in a way it forced me to think about what talents I might have that would not be hamstrung or capped by my own physical capabilities. And choreography was the thing.
Right, sir. Dance as an academic discipline, what is your outlook to this, sir?
Well, I think dance as an academic field is really about scholarship and research, dance history, dance theory. This is a whole, yet we were talking about dancing, teaching, choreography. Scholarship is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
I think every dancer should have a sense of history. Every dancer would gain from understanding the world of dance, the different styles that exist around the world. Um, but academia and dance are a completely separate field, in my opinion.
Uh, but sir, if dancer is dancing uh, very well, but he has no knowledge about the uh, books and uh, country and anything, then it's needed academic education or not?
I think it all depends. I mean, some people you watch them, they may not be intellectually um, enriched in terms of dance history or any of these other fields, but you look at them and you say they were born to dance. They have dance inside their bodies, and there's a natural authenticity about their movement. Then that has its own value. Other dancers who are very, very intelligent and educated in terms of history and theory and so forth, they have their own value as well. I don't think you can make a blanket statement that everyone should have this, you know,
Right.
because dance is different. Dance can be looked at from an academic standpoint, dance can be looked at from a performance aspect, dance can be looked at from a creative aspect. They all have their values.
Right. What are the qualities a good choreographer should have, sir?
Well, this is all my opinion. I believe that every choreographer should be very musical and
Right.
understand music either innately or through studying music. In Indian dance, of course, an understanding of music is fundamental. I don't think there is any Indian classical dancer of any quality who isn't also a musician of sorts. Kathak dancers learning tabla, very natural thing. They have to vocalize the same bowls that the tabla player is playing. I mean, I don't see how you can be a Kathak dancer without being musical.
Right.
It's all together. And
Right.
Bharatanatyam dancers can sing often. The singing and dancing seem to go together in a lot of the Indian dance forms. You might not have a concert quality voice, but you can still sing. And I think of C.V. Chandrasekhar, who composed his own music, who was singing in some cases, or doing a natawangam, and at the same time, in many cases, performing himself. So I think this kind of complete artist. I think of Darshan Javeri playing the mridang. There are items in the Manipuri repertoire that are drumming, and she does
Right.
them, as well as being an
And
incredible dancer.
right, sir. And what about you think about backstage, like light and costume?
Well, I think for a choreographer to understand lighting and understand costuming and understand the impact that those elements have on the production, that's essential. But at the same time, you don't have to be the multi-talented person who can do it all. You need to be able to find you or Dinesh or Barry Steele or
Right.
Leo Hidalgo or any of the people that we've worked with, um, who are expert and who can listen and look and enhance and enrich what we can do.
Right, sir.
And costume designers as well, Sandhya Raman, and Soleil Salvo, and Tyler Holland, people I've worked with here, people I've worked with in India, whose design sense in terms of costuming the body, how to reveal the body, how to enhance the body through fabric, through tailoring, and so forth. This is a wonderful contribution, essential contribution to dance as well.
Yeah. Sir, please share your view on the intercultural exchange in dance. How successful are they, and how different is the process?
I think that's a very difficult question
Yeah.
because sometimes you think you see something where an American choreographer has taken on an Indian theme or a Japanese theme, and you say, wow, that person really took in this other culture, processed it, and came out with an original vision. Sometimes. Other
Right.
times you can say, oh, this is cultural appropriation. They don't really understand what they're dealing with. It's very surface, very artificial. They haven't really entered into the ethos of that other culture. So, I mean, again, I'm not the arbiter to say one way or the other. I think every audience member can decide for him or herself whether it's a successful cultural exchange, creative exchange, or it leaves something to be desired.
Do you think about cultural exchange to mix battery dance company with the Kathak dancers to make some performances?
Well, we actually have done so many collaborations with Indian musicians and Indian dancers, going back to 1992 when I worked with Darpana, with Malika and Shashi and the dancers at Darpana, and we did creations together. My Shakti, A Return to the Source, that's very much a collaboration with Unaf Hassan Ratnaraju, a dancer with Bharatanatyam and yoga training and folk dance training. Um, and then we've worked with many different artists as well in various collaborations. In fact, Durgesh Gangani is coming here in mid-November, and he will be doing a gallery event with us here in New York. So we're always looking for opportunities to shine a light on dancers from other cultures and to enrich our own understanding of this world of dance.
Right, sir. In the end, I just want to say that what you want to say for young dancers and choreographers.
Well, I know that right now, coming out of the pandemic, this is, I mean, I can't even imagine an 18-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 22-year-old who has been studying and preparing to be a performer, and then they had 2 years of nothing, working in their, trying to keep up their dancing in their kitchens or their bedrooms, while waiting to emerge as an artist. I sympathize tremendously. I think it's a very, very difficult thing, and I wish them all the best and courage and strength, because we need the next generation to emerge despite the hardship. And I think artists have been very good at dealing with hardships forever. Dancers have never been well taken care of in general. Dancers don't get paid well. The conditions can be very poor, as we said earlier in the interview. And yet, the passion for dance remains strong. So I'm sure that the younger generation will come up and will meet the conditions and meet the challenges beautifully.
Thank you, sir. It's very nice talk with you, sir.
Great
And
to
very
talk.
interesting and very knowledgeable, sir. So thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. And we are meeting.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Good night here from India, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.